This is the young lady that I met through the Stewart Martin County Chamber last year and the Women's Power Lunch, Harriet Vogel. Harriet Vogel has a book. Here it is right here. And she wants to tell you about her book. However, before we go any further, we're in Florida. Nobody's originally from Florida. Harriet, where are you from?
I'm from the New York area. Lived on Long Island most of my married life.
Where in Long
had
Island?
careers. Actually, a little village called East Williston,
Is that Suffolk County?
Nassau.
Nassau
Not too
County.
far
Okay.
from the city.
North Shore, South Shore?
North Shore.
North Shore, okay. So we're up on Long Island Sound.
Yes, had a sailboat there. Loved it.
Really? Good for
Yeah,
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice living in the summertime.
absolutely.
However, now you're in paradise. What brought you to paradise?
Well, actually, I had a condo here since '97 with my husband. It was a getaway. We'd come down for 2 days, sometimes 3-day weekends. Really, an expanded stay was 10 days with 2 weekends around a week.
Sure.
Because we were working up there. We were working, we had our families, our friends. But one of our sons had moved down here with a 2.5-year-old grandson, and we just knew we needed a place to come to visit.
Now you're in Stewart, you're in Palm City, you're St. Lucie. Where are
I'm
you?
in Palm City.
You're in Palm City.
Yes.
Okay, so we're neighbors. Okay, I'm in Palm
Yes,
City.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw that.
And you've been here for how long now?
So now I'm
Full-time?
here full-time 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yes.
Well, good for you.
Yes, and love it, love it, love it.
Now, I mentioned that I met you at the Stewart Martin County Chamber and the Women's Power Lunch, and you had this very interesting book with a very interesting concept behind it. Tell us about it. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you
All
do it,
right.
etc.?
I never intended to write a book, but what happened is that I learned through the years the power of writing, especially in my grief counseling. I am a grief counselor, have been for many, many years through hospices on Long Island. And what I learned is that writing goes deeper than sharing verbally.
It's
And
the catharsis.
Yes, and it just goes very deep. And I encouraged all my clients, whether they were individual with my private practice or in my groups, I encourage people, and anyone who ever followed that weird suggestion to write to a dead person, basically found it very helpful. So when my husband died suddenly,
Oh, I'm sorry.
in 2005, within days, I started writing. And I wrote letters to him for 2 years. And one of my friends found out that I was doing this, and she said, "You have to write a book." And I said, "Why?" I said, "You know, there are so many grief books out there." She said, "Well, yours is going to be different. I know it." So my first thought was, I'll write this for my children and grandchildren so they understand what I went through. Because
Now, what's your background?
I have a master's in religious education and a BA in regular education.
Oh, okay. Early
So-
childhood,
No,
high school?
No, kind of K through 8.
K-8.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was only a few years. I went into religious education. I was a principal of religious schools, volunteering in hospice, and then switched to work in hospice from 1991 on.
Okay.
So I've been a grief counselor and a grief bereavement coordinator for hospice. I helped start a small hospice as well. So I'm very familiar with that. So back to, if you don't mind, the writing.
Yeah.
The interesting part is that as I wrote, the more I wrote and the more I edited and the more I revised this book, I started bringing in my expertise from doing all my grief counseling. So this is not just a memoir based on what I experienced, but it combines the education and validation for people out there who have experienced the loss of someone. I will tell you this, that since it's been published, I have learned that the book is so much more. And that is that it's a love story. And it has many subtitles, sub-themes, I should say. Relationships, honest communication, gratitude. I could go on, because I didn't even realize the power of it in terms of the wide spectrum of people who could be reading this book. For example, you're married.
I am.
perfect for a couple who are married to anticipate the realities of life down the line. Are you starting conversations? Do you talk openly and honestly about the important things, such as the
Reconciliation of one's mortality.
well, that's pretty formal, but all right. It's an acknowledgement of reality, and I am a realist.
Well, that's really interesting because in recent years, and I'm going to say over the last 12 years, both my wife and I have lost our parents, and that was something that we literally we teamed up together to assist each other. And when my mom passed away, my dad came down, and here I am talking about me, and I don't want to talk about
That's
me.
all right. It's all related.
But you know, it was again, we talk about the catharsis of it. I had spent 40 years reconciling my parents' mortality, and suddenly they're gone, and I find myself reconciling my own. So, you know, it can be very interesting as to where this leads to.
Well, in the same sense, I really am hoping that more and more people read my book for all kinds of reasons.
Now, you had mentioned in a conversation we had recently that you're now branching out into workshops as well.
Yes.
Now, these workshops are scheduled. I mean, where can they find you?
Okay, well, my website will definitely give them lots of information about my book, my counseling. I still have a private practice counseling. And so it's harrietvogel.com, very simple. And if they care to email me, they could find out. Harriet@harrietvogel.com.
Sure.
And basically, I am contacting churches, synagogues, WISE, organizations, communities, offering my free workshop. Because it's based on the book, but very little. It's not a lecture. Very little is really about the book as much as opening it up to conversation in the audience. In fact, recently I was at the Blake Library in Stewart.
Sure.
And I knew no one who was coming into the workshop, but by the end, they all were sharing openly, and I was helping them, and there was some education, validation. I never give advice. I only give options to look at things in a different way, and I found it was very helpful.
These workshops usually go for about how long?
An hour is a good hour to an hour and a half,
1 hour.
depending. Yes, depending on the size of the group or what the organization will say wants.
Now, most of the organizations that you mentioned that sponsor your workshops are spiritual. Do you get into like the community-based organizations that are not necessarily from the spiritual side, the faith-based side?
Well, I'm the library, for
The
example,
library,
is
okay.
a generic audience. You
Sure.
know, I mean, I'm.
But the Chamber of Commerce,
Yes, people know it's a matter of this is just beginning. You know, I just started really developing this the middle of 2016. So my
Yep.
hope is that word of mouth, it'll continue to grow.
and hopefully what we're doing here today will expose what your project is to everybody.
Well, I hope so too, and I thank you for inviting me.
And
here.
once again, what's your website again?
HarrietVogel.com.
And they can reach you at the email, which is?
Harriet@harrietvogel.com.
Okay, very good. Harriet,
you.
it's been a pleasure to have you.
Same here.
And I hope we see you again soon.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Next it.